Let's start the octopus by making a slip stitch. So you basically making a bunny ears with your yarn, and then you're pulling the hook through and pulling the yarn down, so your hook is closer, the loop is closed, right? And the yarn that is on my hand, right, on my left hand, is my working yarn, and there I did 2 chains, and I'm going into the first chain, yarning over, pulling up, and making a single crochet, right? So we are going to be making 6 single crochets in this one stitch. When we make our first single crochet, we're going to put a stitch marker at the top, because fluffy yarn is very hard to see when you finish your stitches. So we're going into the same space, yarning over, pulling through. So we go in the same space, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over again, 3 loops on your hook, and you pull through the last loop and you get a single crochet, right? So these are 6 single crochets. We are not going to do a slip stitch to join, but we are going to make a next single crochet into our first single crochet from the previous round. So take out the stitch marker, don't carry it too far because you have to use it again. Yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook, then yarn over again, pull through both 2. So that's the first single crochet for your second round. And in this round we are increasing, so we're creating the shape of the octopus. So we're doing 2 single crochets in each of the 6 single crochets from the previous round, so we would end up with 12 single crochets, right? And this is how we increase. And making these animals, it's all about increasing and decreasing. So here we are increasing by making 2 single crochets into each one of the stitches, right? So here we go again. This is 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, right? And we're continuing towards the end, and we have to remove that stitch marker in order for us to start round 3, right? So we're removing a stitch marker and making a single crochet into that first single crochet from the previous round, using this stitch marker to mark the first stitch of the 3rd round. And here we are going to do 1 single crochet, and then 1 increase, and that is the pattern that we would be repeating 6 times in order to get 18 single crochets, right? So it is 1 single crochet, and then in the next stitch it will be 2 single crochets. That's 1 single crochet, and then here we're doing 2 single crochets into that next stitch, and we're continuing like that. We have to do this pattern, the stitch 6 times to get 18 stitches. So we are still increasing, and then in round 4, 5, and 6 we would not be increasing, we will just be continuing doing 18 single crochets. So here I'm taking out the stitch marker, and so we're going to start row 4 now. So it's 1 single crochet, putting back my stitch marker, and like I said, for 4, 5, and 6 we're doing 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets from the previous rounds. So we would end up with 18 single crochets in each of the rounds for 4, 5, and 6 round, right? So we're going into the top of the previous single crochet, yarning over, pulling through, ending up with, then yarning over and ending up with 3 loops on our hook, pulling the last loop through, and that is how we will get a single crochet. And we are almost finished this round. So remember, it is one single crochet and then an increase, and we do this. Oh no, sorry, it's one single crochet in each of the single crochets from the previous row. So now we are going to start row 5. Sorry for the mix up. Row 5, and we are going to be continuing to do the 18 single crochets. Right? Now fluffy yarn, which is what we are using, is what you get the great consistency for stuffed toys, right? And each stitch requires a single crochet. So you go into the top of the previous stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over 3 loops, and then pull that 3rd loop through, and you will get a single crochet. As you see here, the octopus head is actually shaping up and forming into that cup-like shape, and that is because we're no longer increasing, we're just doing the same stitch from the same amount of stitches from round 3. So this is like doing almost like the body and where the eyes of the octopus will be. So now we're going to do round 6. So this is our 3rd round of doing just one single crochet in each of the stitch from the previous round, and the previous round was 18, so we're going to do 18 stitches for round 6. Right, so we're doing a single stitch right, a single crochet stitch right throughout this row. And if you can't get the single crochet stitch down, right, so just message me and let me know, and I'll send you a video on how to do it. But crocheting, it takes practice, right? And you could pause and go back with this video to see what you may have missed, right? So we're almost back towards the end of the row to make our 18 single crochets. In round 7 we would start decreasing, because remember the octopus comes back in, so we're going to start decreasing. And with making stuffed toys, there's something called an invisible decrease. Right? So we're going to learn to do the invisible decrease. So for this round, for round 7, it's going to be one single crochet and then one decrease. And we're doing that 6 times, so we will get 12 stitches. So here we go, we did one single crochet, and now we're doing the decrease, where we go into the loop closest to you once, right, and then we go into the loop for the next stitch. So basically we are combining those 2 stitches, right? You're yarning over, you're pulling through those 2 loops. It might be a little bit difficult, but just keep practicing, and then you're making a single crochet. So this is the single crochet, and this is the invisible stitch. Now you go into the first one, the first stitch, you go into the second stitch there. Like I said, it might be a bit tedious, but you will get it. Just keep practicing, right? See, even I am having problems, right? And you pull through both loops. So you have your 2 loops on your hook, you yarn over, and you pull the 3rd loop through, and you have your invisible decrease. Why it is invisible is when you look on the next side, right, the right side of your work, you would not see the decrease. It would not be visible. So for this round, it is 1 single crochet and 1 decrease, and you do that 6 times to get 12 stitches. So we're doing a decrease here. Right? And a single crochet. And then sorry, I think I made a mistake. And the thing about crocheting, you could actually take out your work. So this is supposed to be 1 single crochet. Right? And now the decrease. And then 1. And just counting back, and I would have had 12. So I'm going to go into where the stitch marker is and make a single crochet there. And now we are going on to round 8, which is also a decreasing round, where we will do a single crochet and a decrease 4 times. So we would end up with 8 stitches. Right, so this is just to show you the shape of the body. And just dragging that tail yarn through so it wouldn't be visible. I don't need to cut it off. It could actually form part of the stuffing of the octopus. So I'm just stuffing it back in there. Right? So you see how it would have started. It's difficult to see the stitches because it is fluffy yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? I think we missed that 8 round, but you could do that 8 round, and then we're going to, oh no, sorry, this is still the 7th round, and we put in the stitch markers. So the stitch marker goes between rounds 5 and 6. Count 5 and 6 from the top, and then you put the eye in, and you put the washer in to secure the eye. I would attach a video for safety eyes, so you could watch that. Right, and this is how you put the washer in on the next side. Might need some little strength to get it in. Right, and that's it. Safety eyes are in, and we could continue with round 8, which is a decreasing round, our last decreasing round, and then we will go reach tentacles. So here it is 1 single crochet and then 1 decrease. And we do this 4 times in order to get 8 stitches. Right, so single crochet now, and then to decrease. As you can see, the space is decreasing and getting smaller. Right, and our last decrease. And now we're slip stitching into that first stitch, not single crochet. So slip stitch is when you go into the 2 stitches at the top of the single crochet, you yarn over, you pull through, and you would have made a slip stitch. Right, and from here we're going to do, you're marking your space still, right? We're going to do 8 tentacles, and you're working in the round and the V closest to your finger. So you're going to make 6 single crochet, 6 chains, sorry, and then on your second chain coming down, you would do increases in each of the other 5 chains, which will make 10 single crochet. So you see I'm going down and I'm putting 2 single crochets in each stitch. Right, and this is what's going to make the tentacles curl instead of staying straight, because the increase is what would make it curl. Right, so you see I went into the top loop closer to my index finger, right, you see there, and I'm going to pull through, make a slip stitch, and then I'm doing 6 chains, and then I'm going into the second loop from my hook, and I'm making 2 single crochets in each of the other 5 chains, which will make it 10 single crochets. And then when I reach to the base, I would slip stitch and continue to do the other tentacles. Right, so here's a slip stitch on the part of the V closest to my index finger. Right, then I'm going to do 6 more single crochets, chains, sorry, and then do single crochets in each of the 5 increasing single crochets in each of the 5 chains as I come back down to meet the body of the octopus. When we reach to the base here, you all will continue doing the other 5 tentacles, and I will join you back on the last tentacle. Okay, so just having some difficulty finding that stitch. Yarn over, pull through, and this is the last tentacle that I am doing. Right. Right here I am slip stitching back into the first tentacle. So I have all the 8 tentacles, and I'm going to use the polyfill and stuff the octopus. We're almost finished, and all we have to do after this is to cut the yarn, leave a long tail, and then stitch up and close the opening from the stuffing. Right, so make sure you put enough stuffing in it. Right, put your yarn through your needle and then use your needle to close the gaps in between to close up the hole. So that way none of your stuffing will come out. Right, so basically here I'm sewing the stitches closest to the hole and pulling them in order to close the space tighter. Right, and once you do that, it's just to weave in the remainder of the yarn. I'll show you how I will do that. And you're done after that. So weaving in the yarn is to basically hide the end of the yarn. So that your ends are all intact, and that way it decreases the chances of things unraveling. So here you would see, hopefully you could see, I know some of it was done off camera, so I'm basically stitching in to make sure everything is closed. Right, so you're not seeing any gaps, any holes or anything like that. Right, now we're going to take the needle and pass it through the remainder, the head of the yarn itself, the octopus, you see, pushing it into any spot there, and then when I get through I'm pushing it back in the same spot and then letting it come out somewhere else. We could probably do this 2 more times. and then cut your yarn. Right, so you pull a little bit on the yarn and then you cut the yarn as close as possible to the octopus, so that way you would not have extra yarn sticking out of your octopus. And if you just use your fingers and manipulate the head itself, you would never know where that yarn was cut. And that's it. Thanks for joining.